Welcome back on the AM show. Well, today, right after that conversation, we talk about fires, and statistics from the Ghana National Fire Service show 624 fire incidents were recorded in just December of 2022. This year, though young, more than 5 fire incidents have actually occurred. Today, we discuss how the Ghana National Fire Service is working to halt this trend and what you, as viewers, can do to stem the tide of same. Joining us, ADO2 Alex King Nartey. He is Assistant Divisional Officer with the Ghana National Fire Service PR headquarters. And that conversation up next.
Today, we just don't want to talk about fires, but we want to help you deal with it as effectively as you can when you encounter one. So whether you encounter a fire in your house or you chance on a vehicle that's burning and you have to help somebody out, you know exactly what to do. And I've been joined by ADO2 Alex King Nartey. You may have seen him on social media. He's quite active there. We were just having a chat about a video I saw. I'll let you in on that later. But thank you so much for all that you do. Earlier, before we brought Drive Safe, I was sharing with our audience the startling statistics of fires we recorded in December alone. 625 fires. Can you give us the breakdown? Are these domestic and industrial, and which of them tops?
Okay, so good morning to your cherished viewers once again. So you are right to the statistics. It's really startling, the extent of fires that we recorded during the Christmas Yuletide. The causes vary from electrical to gaseous to different types of fires. But then domestic fires topped the list of fires that we recorded. That shows that people have let their guards down when it comes to being fire compliant at homes. And so it's quite startling. But the good news is that from this 1st January to 5th December, from 1st January to 5th January, the figure has declined a bit, which means that our approach has worked, because we had to now rope in the opinion leaders to be able to help drum down our message of fire safety.
So we have our extinguishers here. ADO2 will be explaining to us the types of extinguishers we have and what they can be used for, and then he'll do a little demonstration. But before that, you know, people have concerns about generally the approach to dealing with fires in this country, the attitude towards fire compliance, like you said. But there are those who are also concerned about the speed of the fire service, because, you know, fire ravages. Fire is boisterous. It's I don't even know the adjective to use, because if you've seen an inferno before, within seconds, especially depending on the kind of material, the building or the structure or whatever it is, the vehicle is made of, within seconds, you know, the fire just ravages and destroys it all. Why is the fire service not able to attend to some of our calls on time? We always hear about the water problem, but is there something we need to know? What exactly is it?
Okay, so I like how inclined you are with fire. You know, before we came on, we were talking about, and I like your depth of understanding with fires. So, as a service, we don't take pride in coming to see people's homes burnt. You know, personally, I've been to fires and I've seen people cry after losing their things. And as professional as I have to be, I try not to cry or not to feel too sad, because the work has to go on. What they need to understand is that, as much as possible, the fire service receives a lot of calls every day. The unfortunate thing is that we receive a lot of prank calls. Just up to the middle of last year, we had received well over 2 million prank calls.
Wait. 2 million
prank calls. That's at the middle of last year.
But why would you do that?
You see, and that's where being each other's keeper comes in. People, especially kids or even depressed people, when they are home, they just pick up the phone and then they make fun of the fire service. People have the most flimsiest of calls when some can call us that their wives somewhere is on fire. So outrageous. You see, and our emergency lines are just like your phones. When you're on the line with someone, until the person gets off the line, you can't pick someone's call.
Right.
And when you are pranking, there might be someone who has a legitimate concern, a legitimate emergency that needs our attention. But then you're on the line pranking us and wasting valuable resources. Some can even prank that there's a fire somewhere. Our appliance will move to where there's no fire, and there might be a fire around that area itself. So then another appliance from a different area would have to proceed to that fire, which will take a while. Unfortunately, our fire stations are not enough. I have to concede. We as a service have tried our best to close the gap and to work hard to meeting up the deficit. But then it beholds on the MMDCs to come up with sites or places for the fire service to set up our stations. Right. Believe it or not, the whole of Tantra Hill, Mile 7, Achimota, Soutum, Anya, there's no single fire station there.
So if there's a fire in any of these areas, where will the appliance be sent from?
Ideally, the appliance has to come from Abilimpi. So if Abilimpi is also attending to a fire at, say, Alajo, Newtown, or Nima, then the appliance would have to come all the way from either Weja or Amasaman, which is very scary. One thing also people fail to realize is that people just block roads, having funerals, having naming ceremonies, having parties, without due diligence to emergency services. Mind you, our appliances are not saloon vehicles. These are very heavy duty vehicles which need a lot of space. So when we block the road and then we get there and we have to now find an alternative route to reach, and mind you, the fire will not be waiting for us.
Of course.
And as you said, when the combustible materials in there are a lot, it spreads so fast, and so we always entreat people that please, as much when people would rather give, excuse me to say, people would give V8 way, but wouldn't give fire service the way. We've had situations where people refuse to give fire service way, and then it ended up being their homes that was burning. Yes, we had such a situation. So we don't take pride in coming late, and the age old they don't misconception that we don't have water.
They came and they don't have water.
It's totally flawed. You see, we don't fight every fire with water. There are some fires that when you try fighting with water, you'd kill yourself and you'd kill people around you. Mind you, water is a good conductor of electricity. So when there's a fire, probably on any of these electric poles, and we get here, we'll do our assessments. When we do the assessments and realize it's an electrical fire, we'll have to call on ECG to cut power supply to the area before we're able to fight the fire with water. You see, so when we get there and then we are probably waiting for ECG to put off power supply, mind you, when people see fire, by impulse, or even their meters at home, by impulse, they just pick up a bucket of water, pour it on the fire, they'll kill themselves. Or maybe someone's home is burning. Yes, we know that the Ghanaians are each other's keeper. People like to help, but please be mindful how you help.
Right.
Because when there's fire and you don't know the contents in the person's room, you end up killing yourself because the person might have a cylinder in there. And so once the cylinder is hot, it will explode. And in going to help someone, you end up killing yourself. So when our men get to a fire scene, even though we are trying our best to close down the gap, so this year, we'll be coming up with a rapid intervention vehicle. That's a much smaller vehicle that can be able to quickly attend to incidents, to calm the situation before the big
main
appliance comes.
All right.
So when our men get to the scene, instead of people hooting at our men, because if you hoot at our men and you throw stones at them, you put their lives in danger, they will leave.
Of course.
And if they leave and there are explosive materials in there, you die.
Right. So, I mean, at this point, I think that we need to, just based on everything that you've said, and I remember a fire officer who died in an accident, and I think another one who was going to offer rescue services died in a well. You know, we need to be kind to our officers. Clearly, with what ADO2 has said, you can understand that they are really resource constrained, okay? And I would like to say this, that we need to speak to our MMDCEs and our local assemblies to get aside for the fire service to put up stations, because look at the picture he painted. If you live in an area like that, imagine. So it's not always about, oh, they took too long to come. The distance they had to travel from may be too long for them. So that is where we as citizens have to come in to lobby and push our lawmakers and our local assembly authorities to get us the required resources. And also, you know, for those of you who help put up social amenities in your communities, those who can afford it, think about this project next time. Look around your community and who knows, it may be a house that will be saved. So ADO2.
Let me just chip this in,
Right.
please. So people always limit the fire service to fires.
Yeah.
Yes, rightfully, because our name is the fire service.
service.
But then we embark on rescue and extrication, as you rightfully said. One of our men was going to rescue, may so rest in peace. He died in the wall after rescuing 3 children. So whenever there's an accident, people tend to call the police. Yes, you can call the police. They are partners in the execution of our duties. But when there's an accident and people are trapped in the vehicle, it's important to call the fire service first. Because when the police come, they would control traffic and they will call us. The person's life would not be waiting. The person will probably be losing their life. So when you call on the fire service, we have the specialized equipment such as spreaders and then combination tools that spread and help us to extricate and rescue people and hand them over to the ambulance service to receive emergency treatment.
All right, now that you've said it, let me just ask, I was going to do it later. What are the numbers to call? Because we are so used to the 999 emergency number. So once there's a fire, anybody calls. And like I said earlier, ADO2 is very active on social media. So I saw a video and I asked him if he was the one who posted it, and he said yes. So on the caption of the video is, I think you said something like, don't blame the fire service when you're calling the wrong number, something of that sort. Because the person apparently dialed a certain number and assumed...
They were saying 555. As if it was a cigarette.
And assumed it was the fire service. So please, what are the numbers to call when we need attention to deal with the fire and also help in rescuing people who are trapped?
Okay, so our numbers, that's our dedicated short code numbers, 112 and 192. But then, as I said,
112 and 192.
But you see, but then, as I said, due to the issue of pranks, we have other dedicated numbers that when you're calling, and I wish your phone was here so that I won't call my phone for you to say I'm probably, because they're expecting my call. We could have probably tried the number. I will give out a number. We'll try the number, and I can assure you that I can guarantee you of prompt response and professional communication between our people. So one number that can be reached, our people can be reached on, is 0302 772 446.
Please don't call them now. You may be blocking somebody's chance.
Exactly.
I know some of you will want to experiment to be sure
that
if the number will go through, but you don't know if somebody needs real help. So just take the number down, keep it in a safe place, a place you can easily access when you need help. ADO2, please go over the number again.
Okay, so 0302 772 446. I'll give one more number again, and that's 0291 702 094. These are even with me. And the unfortunate thing is that when people know that you're a fire officer and they see fire, instead of calling these numbers, they'll call you
personally. Please don't call his personal line. He can't coordinate any help for you.
Because then I won't be at the location to be able to give an exact location of the fire. So when I see any fire, I call these numbers. So these numbers are dedicated numbers that when you call, you are guaranteed of prompt response from the Ghana National Fire Service.
All right. We'll be doing the demonstration shortly, but I'm just curious about this. These 2 million prank calls you talk about, now with digitization, SIM card registration, it is much more easier to trace people. Are you able to trace some of these people and punish them?
So that's one of our resolutions this year to work. From last year, we were in touch with the national security to see how best we could coordinate to clamp down on some of these people. So this year, due to the SIM registration and all, it will help us narrow down and be able to make an example of people who make fun of us.
Right. So we have 2 extinguishers here.
Yes.
There's the much taller one and the shorter one.
Yes.
This one has different
Let me bring
contents
them
from that
close.
one, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so just
Exactly.
run us through.
Okay, so we have different types of fire extinguishers,
Okay.
but then what we have here for now is the dry chemical powder and then the carbon dioxide or CO2.
Okay.
People have funny misconceptions or funny understanding of someone will tell you that, oh, maybe the color, maybe the height, maybe the size. That does not determine the type of extinguishers.
Okay.
So they are identified by their horns. So dry chemical powders have these flexible tubes
Okay.
for the dry chemical powder.
Okay.
And then the carbon dioxide can be characterized by the big
Okay.
horns.
Okay. Okay.
By the
So
big
that is how
horns.
you determine at any location
Yes.
if it's a dry chemical will never have this.
It should never have this big
have
horn,
this.
yes.
Okay.
Because it comes out as a powder. So
Okay.
such a big horn will not be ideal for the purpose it's supposed to
All
do.
right. Sure.
You know.
Okay.
So we have an acronym in the use of fire extinguishers. That's PASS. PASS. Pull, aim, squeeze, and spray.
Pull, aim, squeeze, and spray.
Spray.
Okay.
All
So
right.
if you're someone like me who needs a lot of time to adjust when there's an issue, you know, there are a lot of people who can just act instantly, and some people need a cool head to reason. So just say pass in your head.
Yes.
Pull, aim, squeeze,
and
spray.
spread.
Okay.
So
that
I'll
helps.
show you how.
Please.
You know, I'll demonstrate the acronym for you.
Okay.
So you see, every extinguisher comes with a safety pin or
Okay.
something to secure it.
Okay.
This is to prevent accidental discharge. Some of these things are very poisonous, especially the dry
chemical.
chemical powder. So if you are not holding it right, or maybe you're holding it this way and you are picking it up, you might end up, you know, injuring yourself.
Okay.
So it's important that the safety measures are put in place. So this is the safety pin. So every fire extinguisher, you know, once you buy it, you'd have to, then it's off.
Okay. So you just flip
You
it
just
and then
flip
it
and
breaks
then it breaks.
Okay.
It breaks the seal.
Okay.
So once it breaks the seal, then the pass comes in.
Okay.
So you pull the safety pin out. Then if this is the fire, and
Let's assume this is our fire.
Let's assume this is a fire, and every fire, you fight the fire from the base
Right.
of the fire.
Okay.
You fight the fire from the base of the fire. So you aim
I.e.
at
the source.
the source or the
Okay.
seat of the
Okay.
fire. So you always aim your extinguisher down. People are scared, so when they see a fire here, they'll just then it means you're just pouring water in the sea.
Okay.
You're basically not doing anything. Aim at the seat, so that's where the A comes in. So when you aim at the seat, then you squeeze
Okay.
and then you spray.
Okay. Can I try?
Oh, please do. Please
Okay.
have a go at it.
Do I need to? Will it throw me off?
No, it won't throw you off.
Okay.
It won't throw you off.
All right. So let's
So-
just assume this is.
Yes, the fire.
Hey. Okay.
So you see,
Okay.
then you spray
That-
it. So that because once you use it, the fire is
Okay.
spreading. So you're
Okay, so
spraying
you
it
spray along.
so that you cover every angle of the fire.
Okay, but you need to be firm because that.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
And this is less poisonous.
Okay.
You realize there's not left residues as compared to what the. And one thing I need to note for your viewers out there is that please, the fire extinguisher is used only at the incipient stages.
Right. So not when the fire
Not when the
has
fire
gone out
is-
of control.
When you see the fire starting, the first thing you call the fire service, give us an accurate location. When you give us an accurate location, then at the incipient stage, when the fire started little, you can use this to manage the fire and probably call our people that the fire is under control. So then we can go back to base so that if anyone has an emergency, we can even proceed to save the person. But please do not use the fire extinguisher when the fire is well developed. You go out, you close your windows because fire needs oxygen to blow up. So you close your windows and
What
you
about
go
putting
out.
off your main switch if it's electrical? If you suspect that it's
Very
electrical,
good.
you
If
know,
it-
in your house.
Yes. So if it's electrical, please try and put off your breakers on
Right.
your main switch,
Yeah.
and then use a fire extinguisher. Under no circumstance should you use water. You see, and when we get to a fire scene, people will tell us that they've put off the power supply to the area. But mind you, that house might probably have an illegal connection in there. So even though they've cut power supply to that area, the person is probably drawing power or from somewhere, which can put the lives of our men in danger. Mind you, our men came to work, not to die. I have to say this. We came to work and not to die. So as much as possible, as we are protecting your lives, we're also protecting our lives for our families.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So please use the fire extinguisher. Let me just demonstrate something also. Occasionally, check your cylinders for leakages.
That's your gas cylinder.
Your gas cylinders.
Okay.
And please, cylinders are always meant to be kept outside, not inside. Because if the cylinders are kept inside and there's any leakage on the tube or any leakage on the cylinders, because it's in the kitchen, it's in a confined area, any little source of ignition, any little source of heat could be very disastrous to you.
Okay.
So let's presume this is the gas tube.
Okay.
So, and probably this is your cylinder. You turn on your cylinder, you disconnect the tube from the stove.
Okay.
Then you cover the mouth,
the
tip, with your hand. Then you have a soapy water,
Okay.
not just any water, soapy water. Then you run your tube through the water. And because the gas has been opened, you'll be looking out for bubbles. If you see bubbles, it means that your hose is compromised.
Okay.
If you see bubbles. Once you don't see bubbles, so you can do this occasionally just to make sure that you are very safe from any type of fire.
All right.
So ideally, please extinguish gas cylinders kept outside, because when they're inside and any little fire, then it poses the risk of fire.
And the chemical and the this is CO2, carbon dioxide, can be used for any kind of fire.
Can be used for
but
any kind of
ideally,
fire.
this should not be used in the kitchen.
This should not be used in the kitchen
because it's poisonous.
Yes, and you see, because it's a powder, just like your kids playing with powder,
it will disperse.
It will disperse. Once it disperses, it could get to your utensils. If not well cleaned, then could pose a danger to yourself. So the CO2, as rightfully said, can be used even for gaseous fires and petroleum fires. So you use it only again at the incipient stage, and if you see that the fire is starting near where probably there's someone who is, and you see the unfortunate thing I have to chip in is that people are too mindful of their security much more than their safety. But mind you, they go hand in hand. It's like food and water. You can't have security without safety. So people end up using a lot of burglar proofs to cover all their exits or their doors so much that they are scared of the thief, but they're not scared of fire.
So when there's a fire, it's difficult to escape.
It's difficult to escape, and so if they have especially just one door of entry or exit, then they are trapped. It becomes very difficult. So as much as possible, please, when you think about your security, think about safety, because a thief will probably come. Maybe a thief comes to Joy FM, still he sees the TV is very nice, takes the TV. He sees a nice computer, takes the computer. Can't take everything in there. A fire wouldn't choose what to take and what to leave out. It will ravage everything.
Right.
So as much as possible, protect yourself in that area also.
And I think it's important to say that you need extinguishers not only in your offices but in your homes as well. It's very, very important. I have a personal experience of how we dealt with something that would have been disastrous when we encountered a fire. So it's just important to save you, to save your property, to save your family and friends. Thank you so much, ADO2 Alex King Nate, for doing this with us. He's very accessible on social media. You can find him and he will help you with all that you need to know. So once again, this has been our conversation on fire safety for you this year, so that you can protect yourself, protect your life, protect your property, and also help another person. Share this video. It's very important that all the key points we have noted here are shared and distributed. And don't forget, please, no prank calls.